Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection on Nintendo Switch, and I will be doing my early gameplay impressions and reviews as somebody who doesn't have nostalgia for the original releases, because while I briefly played these games at friends' houses around their first round of releases in the PS2 Xbox generation, I never actually went through and spent any notable length of time in these games, and now of course they were brought back to all modern consoles, but we are specifically talking about the Nintendo Switch version today. How does it run? How does it look? How does it hold up in 2024? If you are somebody who's wondering if these classic games are worth checking out at this point in time, and we're going to break down all of that and hopefully come to the conclusion on whether or not this might be a game you want to add into your Nintendo Switch collection. And before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to first kick it off by discussing the visuals and performance of this game, because you have to first keep in mind that these are games from 2004 and 2005 respectively, and clearly a lot of time has passed since then, literally 20 years since 2004, which is like crazy to say out loud. But with that said, the age on these games does show, in my opinion. Now, it doesn't run bad. It's 60 frames per second on Nintendo Switch. It's very smooth performance overall, and outside of a long load time here or there, it's really pretty solid, all things considered. I will just say that whenever you're talking about kind of the gameplay and responsiveness, if you're used to games like modern first person or even third person shooters, as this game does support both modes that you can toggle between, it's not that intuitive, and there's definitely some moments where it feels like you're trying to aim with the left analog as well as the right, but the right should entirely be the one that you're aiming with and you're only moving with the left analog. It just feels a little bit wonky and a little bit dated, and it's definitely not going to be like a cream of the crop modern 2024 first-person shooter experience, or even third-person shooter experience for that matter, when it comes to aiming. But I didn't have any hiccups or really noticeable glitches or problems that took me out of the game, just some 2004-2005 game design wonkiness that you would come to expect with a game that's aged this much. Now, Aspyr did go in and redo some of the textures and definitely upgrade them, as well as providing modern widescreen support, so it looks good overall. It's definitely not something that's going to blow you away visually, as I think you could tell from the trailer that revealed the game that you weren't going to be getting some kind of graphical masterpiece, but there's nothing here that breaks the experience or takes you out of it, and I feel like both Battlefront 1 and 2 are solid overall, with some minor gripes. First, of course, they did change some things with the controls between Battlefront 1 and 2, and I found that switching between first person and third person you could just easily do with the left analog in Battlefront 1, and that was not the same when it came to switching in Battlefront 2, and I actually couldn't figure out an easy way to do it other than going into the menu and toggling it to first or third person in Battlefront 2. That said, I actually did like the controls overall significantly better in Battlefront 2, as you could use that left analog click in button, or your L3 that you would call it, to run like you do in a modern shooter today, and I thought that made a lot more sense. Jumping in the fluidity of your character was also a lot more enjoyable in Battlefront 2, and I think the reason you would spend a good majority of your time in Battlefront 1 compared to 2 would mainly lie with the nostalgia factor. For me personally, Battlefront 2 did feel like an upgrade all the way around, but if you liked certain stages and you like the campaign options in Battlefront 1, you might be more inclined to play in that game. I personally found myself enjoying Battlefront 2 that much more than 1. Now, next I want to discuss the overall gameplay experience for this, as I am not somebody who's necessarily the target demographic for this game, because I'm not really that into online multiplayer. In fact, for the purposes of this video, I did not hop into any live online multiplayer maps. I really wanted to go into it with the mindset of, is this going to be worth it if you leave out that live online multiplayer component that clearly a lot of fans of these games will be enjoying, as it does support up to 64 different players live online that you can hop into and enjoy the battles with. But I went through the early portions of the campaigns in each of the games, and that's how I played it, and it does play like you were playing an online game with NPCs, although you have very specific objectives that you have to complete as you progress through each story section, and you even see some clips of the movies, albeit with some of the throwback 2000s, like it's playing off of a DVD visual where you just have giant pixelation for some reason, so you may or may not want to sit through those movie clips. And Battlefront 2, they definitely enhance the story that much more, having some outside of movie cutscenes that are narrated originally and stuff. So there's some story content there, but that's really not what's going to pull you into the game. It's really going to be more about the fun and the action and trying to progress. And it's cool to be like on the side of the Empire and literally going against how the movies play out. That is all available here. And while the majority of your characters are pretty much pick a stormtrooper or a droid or whatever the scenario is and the battle is that you are doing, you're going to play characters that are in those battles in the movies, but you're going to be able to select different weapon classes and things like that. So if you want to be a sniper, you can do that. If you want to be just a standard run-of-the-mill battle droid with a traditional shooter or machine gun, you can do that. And if you want those shotgun style blasts or even bazooka style blasts, you can do that. Although you're going to pay the price of reloading your ammo very slow, and I did die quite a bit when choosing to play with the rocket launcher. I mean, it's fun to do serious damage, but I think you're better off just getting into a vehicle and kind of going around and doing your damage that way. And for me personally, my most enjoyable moments in gameplay are actually when you can play as the Jedi class. Now, everyone's going to have their own preference here, and a lot of my decision might be gravitating towards the fact that I am not that big of a fan of first person or even third person shooters in general, but call me crazy, being able to jump crazy high with triple jumps, throw your lightsaber, and then also just have a good chain combo of lightsaber attacks, it's a lot more fun to me. You also have a dodge roll ability that I do really enjoy. I feel like you can control your character that much better as a Jedi as compared to any of the shooting classes, but you're not always going to be in battles where you can select a Jedi, so it's not like you can just pick one character and play throughout the entire game with that said character. There are some free play options in the gameplay that if you just want to hop into battle, like you can just select your character and which map you want to play on. But if you're going through the campaign, of course, you're going to be playing story related battles, so sometimes Jedi is not in the cards. Another thing that's really cool about the gameplay and the vast options that they have to offer is that you also have full-on space battles in this game. So you get into your fighter jets, you go out there, and it's an entirely different gameplay experience at that point in time. And it's kind of crazy too, because you have to worry about what's above you, what's around you, and you can do some tricks and maneuvers to try to get people off your tail. But it's quite honestly more on the difficult side to see where things are coming from, and you really do have to go at it with a different mindset than your traditional battle systems. Now, they did legitimately include all of the content and even add some stuff in from the original Battlefront 1 and 2, and there is a ton of maps to play through, a ton of fun to be had, and an enjoyable campaign experience, I would say, throughout. I do know a lot of the enjoyment for this game will be spent in multiplayer for people, and you do have leaderboards and rankings, and you can see all your stats even at the end of just any campaign match that you go through. But if you're asking the big question, is this game worth it for me? I would say that at a $35 price point with all of the content that's included, it is not a bad purchase at all whatsoever if you are somebody who is to enjoy a campaign that has online multiplayer elements and a story throughout, and especially if you do want to hop in and spend multiple hours online with up to 64 live players. I do think that there's a lot of content and a lot of fun to be had for that price point. That said, we historically will see these kind of Star Wars remasters that we get go on sale, so I also would not blame you to wait for a sale. We will likely one day see this game sell in the $15 to $20 range, if not a little bit less. So if you want to wait for that, certainly don't blame you, but at $35 retail, brand new on the Nintendo Switch eShop, it is not a bad pickup. My one big complaint is, as of right now, we don't have any plans for a physical release that I am aware of, unless if I missed that online, definitely let me know if I did. But to my knowledge, currently, this is only being released as a digital release. Now, Aspire Star Wars games in the past have ultimately been physically released, but sometimes they come in a large collection pack and you have to wait quite a while to pick them up. So if you're a physical collector, no options on the table currently. That may hopefully change in the future, but there's no official communication to my knowledge. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys are interested in Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection and whether or not you're picking up this game pack on the Nintendo Switch eShop today or in the near future, or if you're somebody who may want to wait for a sale for this particular title. So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.